We are live.
Good morning, everybody. This is Silpa. I am the founder and director of Lux Parking. I'm also from Thai Hyderabad chapter. Today's session is Deep Trek is just a trailer. I will be coordinating the session, and I am glad to invite Ms. Madhurima Agarwal, who's the moderator of the session. I will give you an intro on about Madhurima Agarwal as well. And the other speakers are one Mr. Sanjay Mehta and one Mr. Thomas. To start with Ms. Madhurima Agarwal, she's the director of NetApp. Madhurima Agarwal works as a director of engineering program with global responsibility for leading NetApp startup accelerator called NetApp. She has over 16 years of experience spread across enterprises and startups. Madhurima has worked in the global capital markets as a stock picker. She's been an entrepreneur and currently dons the hats of a mentor and advisor to startups. I am happy to introduce Madhurima, and Madhurima would be taking up the session, moderating the session. So Sanjay Mehta is a founder and partner of 100x VC, early stage investor using the iSafe Note Mehta Ventures family office, director core media 2020 elected in the Hall of Fame. So he's an investor in Block. Currently, he has invested in 103 startup companies in diverse sectors, active member of Indian Angel Network, Mumbai Angels, B2B 1K Ventures, and CIO Angel Network and Venture Nursery. I'm glad you're all part of the session today, and I hope the audience will gain a lot of insights towards the latest trends and the investment options in terms of the technology space and deep tech space. Over to you, Madhurima.
Thanks, Shilpa. Hi, Sanjay. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Sure. Thanks, Madhurima.
So artificial intelligence, now this term artificial intelligence, or AI as we call it, it generates huge excitement and in fact a degree of fear in the minds of people. There was a recent PwC study that talked about some very impressive numbers, and let me share that with you. So it said that AI could contribute up to $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030, which is more than the current output of China and India combined. Now that's huge. Of this, $6.6 trillion is likely to come from increased productivity, and $9.1 trillion is likely to come from consumption side effects. Now these are some huge numbers that we are talking about. But let's look at it from a different lens. So while the common man, or the common person as we say, is wondering about how AI might affect the world around, businesses are hungry to understand the impact AI might have on their landscape. Is it something that they need to get well versed with to increase productivity, as the numbers say, or is it something that will disrupt their whole business? Right? There are some areas in AI which have seen more progress than others. However, overall, it's still in a very nascent stage. So let me ask you, Sanjay, what are some of the trends that you are seeing in AI?
Thanks, Madhurima. I believe, we should always learn from history. And if you look into it, as you mentioned, saying that the kind of contribution AI would give to the GDP, let me just take you back 15 years when telecom revolution started across. And if you look into the kind of contribution what telecom did across, right, the mobile, it was just sheer phenomenal, especially for the India. It just moved 3 to 4 points up in the curve. Smallest of the vegetable vendor can use a mobile and increase their business across. Now that kind of connectivity was unparalleled. So India is always leapfrogged, right? We never had a wired kind of telephony penetration, but we are the highest penetrated in terms of mobile. So, India is always leapfrogged in terms of the technology adopting the latest one. Very similar we are seeing across on the AI side of it across, where a lot of startups now it has become like in hygiene. It's part of their any of the idea which you would be building across. There is some bit of component, be it across the robot side of it. The machines are getting completely intelligent in that sense using the AI side of it. We have invested in robotics company and in the kind of work what they do across, how intelligent the machines have become across. you get into, for example, the navigation and the logistics side of it, how intelligent those are getting better and better in terms of the navigation side of it. So the impact is immense. I mean, it is so widespreading that it just encompasses every aspect of our life. I'll share a couple of my portfolio companies where we have invested. So, for example, a company called Road Metrics. What they do is they take snapshot of roads, and when at every point in time they take those images at every 10 feet distance and convert that into a complete map automatically with all the potholes, the road signs, and they can identify everything. Now that's the kind of repository what they are creating for driverless cars in future. And it's just amazing the way startups are thinking ahead. And we'll see a very different world with so much data and information packed in our daily routine that as far as human goes across, we'll see a very different world in 2025 than what we are right now. Earlier we used to talk about decades or 2 decades. Now I think that years are shrinking across, and we will see across a huge change by the time 2025 is here. You are on mute, Madhurima.
Thanks. Yeah, very well said. In fact, it's the similar kind of experience that we echo in our NetApp Accelerator program in terms of all the startups that we see. They always have some element of AI. And if you look at startups which are focused on AI, out of 35 startups that have graduated from the program so far, 15 are fully, they call themselves as AI startups. That's the area that they operate in. So yeah, and I think as you very rightly said earlier, we used to talk about decades. Changes were happening across decades. Now it's a few years, and as somebody famously said, that change is the only constant, and the pace of change keeps increasing. It's faster than what it ever was, and slower than it ever will be, which means just keeps on getting faster. That's the world we live in. So you talked about your startups that were in the logistics sector and that. What are some of the other use cases that you have been seeing?
I mean, we have been seeing it's as I mentioned across. Deep tech AI is everywhere, right? It's omnidirection. I wouldn't say it's going to be unidirection, saying that it's going in this way. It's just encompassing every possible aspect of our life. I mean, so let's say one of our portfolio called Theo.ai. They are into blue collar workers. So typically there is a challenge. You don't have how do you create a resume for a driver, right? So very difficult to work across. So they've created a voice-based AI platform whereby in a local language, you can create your own resume, and there's a marketplace for getting them the jobs. So huge use case over there. Then we have got agri-tech. A lot of the IoT devices have become so much intelligent, right? And the kind of data what they are generating in agriculture, we've got a company called Philo, which uses IoT devices for having the environmental factors, the agriculture, the land side of it. We've got a robotic company called Jetson, which does solar cleaning. There are so many cleaning robots. I mean, just variety of cleaning robots which have emerged across. So this Jetson, for example, is a 2XS cleaning robots. We have got a company called Our.ai. Now, this is where, all the kitchens, where they have to maintain a standard operating procedure saying that, okay, non-veg, veg would not be mixed across. The chefs have to wear the hats. I mean, there are various stuff. Now, how do you audit this? So they use video feeds and they do real-time alerts in terms of, assessing across this whole kitchen problem for various standard operating. So it's like deep diving on analytics using cameras. It's just like every aspect, be it agriculture, be it fintech, has been always been in a forefront for a lot of the use of AI kind of stuff. We have got a company based out of Calcutta called Data Sutram, an amazing bunch of kids which has created location-based intelligence where they are able to predict across the demand and supply kind of stuff for various goods and stuff based on the third-party data. So huge across. We have got a company called Smiles.ai, which is into dentistry clinic, and they use AI for medical purpose in terms of how the dental side of stuff would be working across. So it's just like the deep tech and AI is embedded everywhere, and I would say it is so pervasive. And for most of the startups, this is becoming like an hygiene factor. Now, coming to it, I, as an investor, typically don't look at technology per se. I try to look at what is the business problem it is solving across. So is the right technology getting applied across to a larger problem? What is the use case, right? I mean, you are not looking technology for a technology's sake. You look at what problem it is trying to solve. And if that is large enough and it can create an impact on society, change in the consumer behavior, that is where you would try to invest and put your capital into.
Yeah, in fact, as you talked about AI, I think in India, especially with its AI for all strategy, there's a vast pool of AI trained workforce that we are seeing that's being developed across India. And with the emerging startup ecosystem that we have a unique opportunity really to become a major contributor to the AI driven solutions that are there. And you rightly talked about agriculture and fintech. I also want to just, bring a little bit focus on AI in healthcare, given that the times that we are living in, I see that there are so many startups which are in the healthcare space, but what really is made an impact on our lives, which probably is not visible to us today, is how these AI based applications have helped the pharma companies to significantly shorten the drug identification and discovery and the design process, which earlier used to take several years, is now just taking a few days or a month, which is why we are seeing these vaccines coming in early. There are, that's something which we don't see, but there are some startups in AI which are touching our lives in every day, right? In from our portfolio, actually, from the NetApp Accelerator portfolio, we had this startup called Sictuple, which was completely looking at revamping the way the diagnostic space works. Right, so they were leveraging AI to address the shortfall of the lab qualified people, the lab assistants, and all, how we can use AI to leverage that and shorten the time that a person has to spend on before getting the report. I'm sure most of you would have heard about Niramai as well, which has developed an AI based solution to detect breast cancer in its early stages. So, and I'm sure there are many more examples out there which are leveraging AI to transform people's lives and make it better. And Sanjay, as you said, right, about how you look at your investments in terms of how they make an impact on the business, not the technology per se, right? And you did share some examples. Any specific things or any specific areas that you have seen where these AI driven or AI enabled or AI startups are kind of making inroads in the business arena, in the enterprise space?
No, so enterprise definitely is going to be the way to go about. But end of the day, you are serving some customer. So the way I'm seeing is it's always going to be B2B, B2B2, B2C kind of stuff. So end of the day, that business is going to serve some customer. So most of this enterprise tech, which is going to be there, are sold to businesses and in turn passed on to large amount of customers, which are going to be there. So enterprise tech is always going to be the first adoption because they've got large budgets, and finally that trickles down to the consumer side of it. So I would say that enterprises have a lot of opportunity to their manufacturing. For example, there are drones which are manning across the unmanned vehicles. Just drones have been so much in demand, that the way manufacturing and the warehousing is done across, be it across into oil and gas. How do you do preventive surveillance, right? I mean, drones are the only way where you can go across into the oil rigs and just maintain that safety factor and do the preventive surveillance. So drones have been very, very popular in that sense. So if you apply across those deep tech to a lot of the production capabilities, the machines, now even the fabrics or the textile which you are wearing across is getting smarter. There's good amount of sensors which are coming across, and I see that if there is a mindset to automate and make an instrument smarter, it's just possible today with the kind of sensor, the cost which is coming down, and the cloud which is given across huge and immense value in terms of processing and getting the data crunched across. The limitation side which I see across is we don't have enough data sets. The medical side of it, for example, the way you mentioned across, we do not have enough data sets for us to create that AI or matching algorithm or detect those anomalies, and so we need lots and lots of data, and I think that is going to be the differentiator. So it is going to be very, very useful. With GPT-3 coming across, I think that's going to be another the breakthrough in the AI side of it, where the text which is there, it's going to be all written across by robots. I mean, where you would hardly able to make any difference between a robot written across letters or memos vis-a-vis a human writing across. So a lot of those capabilities are getting released across, and every large company is investing billions of dollars in terms of curating this AI, just out of the box, or trying to process across much faster kind of data. So a lot of those, and I think once 5G is live, I think this is just going to change everything. So, and I think by maybe next year or 2022, we should see 5G rolling out.
Yeah, that's it. In fact, at NetApp Accelerator, we work with B2B tech product startups, and some of them are doing really fantastic work. And let me share a few of those use cases that we see there. Sanjay talked about data being critical for AI applications to work, and I completely echo that sentiment. Data is the backbone for AI to work properly, right? If it's garbage in, it'll be garbage out. So what goes in is extremely important. One of our startups, Zscore, is working in this area. They will help you say which is good data, which is bad data. And there's some, very, very fascinating use cases or observations that they've seen happening by using their product, of how it has significantly, help the corporates sort out their good data from the bad data. On the other side, the other aspect of AI is building these models, right? The AI models, which require significant number of trained resources, right? And AI being such a new field, there's lack of experienced folks. So there's a startup that's called Cyborg Intel, and there's Curl Analytics. They have come up with a way to generate these models automatically, which is, they are using deep learning to create these solutions, which will help fasten the pace of AI applications. So Cyborg Intel and Curl Analytics, that's there. Another use case that we have seen, that with increase in sophistication of technology, there is increase in sophistication of cyber attacks that is happening, right? We all hear stories about how there was a cyber attack, data was leaked. So there is this company called CloudSec, which is an AI enabled risk management system. It will, parse the deep web, the dark web, and tell you what vulnerabilities are there, what data is out there, and you know pre-warned is pre-armed. So these enterprises get to know what's likely to happen and can take measures to overcome that. So like that, there's so many companies we can talk about.
No,
Sanjay.
absolutely. I
Hmm.
mean, there are so many use cases. In fact, we are actively seeking across. I mean, what we see across right now, while cybersecurity remains a very, very big and important sector, we believe that there is going to be an offensive AI
Hmm.
whereby people are going to misuse AI to do nasty things, and we need a lot of I would say solutions. How cybersecurity was a big market, we would see across another emerging market in terms of using AI to prevent those offensive attacks across. So there are going to be startups which would be protecting across enterprises from those offensive AI. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see how AI will be used across for the right stuff.
Yeah. And Sanjay, you were talking about, the robots writing stuff which will be indistinguishable from what humans write. And we are seeing there's so much progress that's happened in the automated chatbot space. So I'm sure most of y'all would have heard about Senseforce.ai, which does this very well. In fact, their solution was implemented for the NHS in UK to allow people to consult online about their COVID related symptoms. And there are many more that we see in this area. Any names that come to your mind, Sanjay, in the automated chatbot space?
No, so there are enough and more which are there, but the way I see across is, AI being used across from chatbot to, let's say, for example, videos, right? So the way, so for example, today we have invested in a company whereby you have a video, let's say in English, and I would like to convert that audio into, let's say, Kannada or Gujarati or any other language. It is just done through AI. I mean, you can just do the language translation using AI, and there are, the GPT-3 is just going to change. That's going to be human-like text, which is going to work across, and it's going to now. Open API has started giving access to many of the startups, and people are trying to include across GPT-3 in their chatbots also, and trying to see across how human like text can be generated across while giving response across. So yes, there are going to be quite a lot interesting stuff which is going to happen across in the business use cases using AI.
So let me ask you on the other side, right? We've all talked
Madhurima,
about.
I think we have got a couple of questions coming in. If you can
Do
just
we
pick that
have?
up
Where are these questions?
in the chat window.
Okay, that's strange. I don't see any
Uh,
actually.
so the questions will be posted individually to one of your private chat windows, depending on the audience questions. Whom is it being addressed to?
Hmm.
So I believe Sanjay has a couple of questions.
Yeah. So one of the questions which I can see across is, access to this technology to build a product is a challenge. Can you elaborate to overcome this challenge? Idea is the data sets are going to be very, very important. There are going to be public data sets, and for startups, I would say across the first thing, if you are going to work across on an AI problem, whatever you are trying to solve across using AI, you need to ensure that you have access to that data, and it is difficult, and that's the IP actually. Idea is it's there are going to be public data sets, but that is going to be having a limited use case. So you will have to work across and overcome the challenge of the data, and how those data sets are going to be your own proprietary IP, which you will create across over the time. And that's where the results of your software or AI, whatever your problem you are trying to solve across, is going to give those outcomes, right, basis on the data set. Question two, agri-tech product startup are facing a challenge of capturing the market. I don't think so. That is true. We have seen a lot of success with agri-tech startups. Farmers are adopting anything which is of value. In fact, corporate farmings are open across, and lots of agri-tech startups are getting funded. In fact, I was talking in a conference room just last month with a couple of VCs in a room, and all of us were discussing across what would be the top kind of trends which we would be investing into, and what are the sectors we should be looking at. And agri-tech was in the top three. I mean, it was just amazing to see the kind of attention agri-tech is getting today in from VCs. So that's where I think it is. So I think I've answered both the questions. Any questions, please post it across. Happy to answer. Madhurima, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. So while we wait for more questions to come in, I also wanted to get your views on what do you think are the ethical challenges or ethical questions that AI raises. We've all heard about the good things it can do. What are the pitfalls?
I think it's going to be very, very important, and we are seeing across a lot of the, fake news, fake, so that's the beginning kind of stuff. You would not be able to make out a difference between a fake and a real, right? That's going to be the toughest challenge what an AI would pose to a human, right? A human would not be able to. So you are, let's say, for example, in a conversation with somebody on a chatbot, the example what you gave, in the kind of response, it can be helpful if it's a right website and the right data. It can be, sinful even if you are going on a wrong website and AI is used across for anything wrong kind of stuff. So the way I see across is that there are going to be both the sides of it. It's like knife. You can cut vegetables and you can, use it for a wrong reason also. So idea is how AI is going to be used across is going to be very, very important. So while it is revolutionizing many things, typically the way I see across is many of the times, the technology adoption first is done by the fringe elements. They are always looking out for new technology to ensure and disrupt the status quo. The good things follow later. The bad things start happening much faster. So fringe elements pick up the technology much faster than the regular one. So you need to be scared. There's no doubt on it. But I mean, we would always find a way to overcome it, prevent it, kind of stuff. There is going to be a huge market available to ensure that we are able to make out a difference between useful AI and a not so useful AI.
Yeah, thanks. So do we have any more questions?
I don't think so. There is.
Okay, yeah, because they're posting on private windows. Just wanted to be sure. So Sanjay, we've talked about what is happening today. Where do you see the future going with AI? And you can paint a blue sky picture for us.
I think we have got so many options, available in terms of the AI landscape. It's just unbelievable the way. So, for example, let's say, very crude way, but if you are looking into, let's say, cattle breeding, right? The cows, today Cargill, for example, as an enterprise, is using, computer vision to manage across each cow using face recognition, identification, and how the cow, what's his eating behavior, what's the kind of way, it's giving out production, and they're using computer vision to identify those cows and manage across. So very similar, China has got the largest breeding of pigs using, AI. It's just unbelievable, right? Where they, so the whole journey started with, let's say, RFID, then QR code, then tracking sensor, and now they are using AI with computer vision. So, I mean, it's getting applicable and so pervasive, right? Cattle breeding, right? Who would have thought across that you would have, pigs getting tracked across in such a voluminous way using AI, So the use cases have emerged in every aspect of our life. It's getting into our homes even, right? Today, for example, homes are all getting equipped across with cameras. We have got a startup which has been in news called Ring, which was Amazon acquired across, where people putting across at the doorbell ring with camera and identifying. I mean, there is so much things happening. The voice has become so much pervasive, where you have got so many voice-driven gadgets. Started with Amazon and Google Home, and now the homes have become so smart, right, in every aspect. So more and more data is getting collected across. More and more data is getting read across, and I think the sensors are going to play a very, very important role in all these aspects. So I believe the startups which are smart, which can use this fundamental innovations and build businesses around it, are going to be very, very successful. So for example, if GPS would not have been there, Uber would not have existed, right? So how do you use those fundamental innovations to create new markets, right? So as things are getting richer and richer on the technology side, startup founders or entrepreneurs need to start thinking what are the business use cases around it, and more those business use cases emerge across, and more larger problems you are able to tackle using those tech side of it. More viable you become across from a successful, impactful startup, what you can create across.
Yeah. So something that has come in from the audience, and very, very rightly said, whoever's sent this, deep tech is a trailer. Is it going to be a super hit movie or a hyped run? That's such a deep question, and I think what Sanjay just shared now has given us an insight on what it can be. How do we ensure as a VC or ecosystem partner that the startup is solving a real problem and the tech is feasible enough to solve it? So, Sanjay, you want to take that question? How do you
No,
ensure that the tech is feasible enough or that it's a real problem?
the way I see most of the, so let's say, for example, if you are in ed tech and you are looking to solve a problem using AI, you just pick up one of the things and see whether the adoption is happening, whether customers are looking at that very effectively. Like for example, today remote learning is in, right? Everybody is working remote now. If I've been asked to do an assessment, which is going to be, I would be doing as a student on a paper, how do I, grade that, right? Sitting remotely. Now, I've just sent a scanned or take a picture of my assessment and, the work, what I've done, and send it to the teacher. I mean, it's how do you automate that process? Now, future of work, for example. Now, how do I measure productivity of the people who are employees, which are across the board? How do I use across technology to ensure that the work is done across? How do I do an onboarding of an employee? Let's say new employee is joined across. You've not even met that employee. You have just taken an interview. How do you bring that employee onboarded? So there are so many aspects of, be it business, be it across any consumer side of it. Everything today has an opportunity to you can apply across tech in every aspect of your business. We have seen across in a daily routine, you start across, you get across your deliveries at home through Big Basket or Grofers. You have your Swiggy for your food. Your garments are coming from Flipkarts or Myntra kind of stuff. I mean, the whole economy or a home economy has been built around, and this pandemic has accelerated that adoption of technology. So I think uh, there are smart entrepreneurs out there, and they are solving large amount of problems, and I believe they would be coming out with quite a lot of solutions around it. For us as an investor, what we look is the problem large enough? Does the team have the right to win, which means the domain expertise to solve that? And lastly, we see across, is this a business model which will make money? So these are the couple of things which we look into it. Many times, which I've seen across Madhurima, is people come with IP and no business around it, and that is where the challenge happens across. So let's say somebody comes and tells me saying that I've built a 128-bit encryption. I mean, मैं क्या करूँ? I mean, it does not have any value. Now, if you tell me saying that, okay, I've built this and it is unbreakable, nobody can crack it. Okay, now I understand something. But if you make a business use case saying that, okay, I built this 128-bit encryption, and whenever you swipe a credit card on an e-commerce site, nobody will be able to hack. Now, this is for which a product is now converted into a business, and a customer would pay for it, right? Somebody would pay for it. So how do you convert your IP into business is going to be very important for every startup entrepreneur. Just building a technology doesn't make sense. You need to convert the product into business.
Yeah, very well said, Sanjay. And I think that is great advice for all the startup founders that are listening to this. So if you have the technology, go find out in the real world what is the use case, what is the impact it will create, and make sure that you communicate that to the potential VC or investor that you're pitching to. If you want to, in your early stages, make sure that that is a problem that is worth solving. So go and talk to the people who you expect to pay for your product and buy, and get that answer early on. Is it something that they will pay for? Only then it has business value and it will make money, as Sanjay said. So I think with that we have come to the end of our session. And we have some questions, but we'll, with the paucity of time, we'll pause here. Thanks so much, Sanjay. It was a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Madhurima. Thank you so much for having me. Startups, in case if you want to reach out to 100x, write to us at pitch, P-I-T-C-H, pitch at 100x.vc if you're looking for a first check seed stage investments. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you so much, Madhurima. That was a wonderful session. It's really great to know that AI can be used across the world, across the sector diagnostic, like sector agnostic. You can use it in any sector. That's really wonderful to know. And thank you, Madhurima, to take us through both sides of the coin, the blue sky as well as the dark sky of the of the aspect of the AI as well. Thank you so much, and it's wonderful to have you both on board. Thank you.
Thank you.